So it has happened. We didn't think it was going to happen this quickly. I was looking at BBC Sport this morning and it was saying that Ronald Koeman was going to be in charge of the team on Wednesday, but Ronald Koeman has been sacked.
He's gone.
He's out the door.
Yep.
What's gone sour? Something goes sour, doesn't
it? The milk has
turned.
According to the gracious and glorious words of Claude.
From Arsenal fans.
Gluna Claude.
The milk's turned sour and he has gone really boring, banal statement from Everton thanking him for his efforts. But obviously, I mean, one win in not many games, 8 points in the Premier League, third bottom in the league, bottom of Europa League group, is not been enough to keep the job for him.
Yeah.
So
I do.
Initial thoughts on that, then?
I mean, it was coming, wasn't it? And you looked at the games against Lyon and Arsenal. They were 2 games. We said it beforehand. Said, look, if you lose these 2 games, then could Koeman be sacked? And lo and behold, it's Monday morning.
Yeah.
Just gone afternoon. He's sacked. He's gone.
So we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Get your comments in, especially if you're an Everton fan. We want to know what you think about this. And we're going to talk through some of the possible replacements for Ronald, good old Ronald. But first and foremost, we've got to hear from this man, Ped. Let's see what he thinks.
So Koeman's been sacked. Mixed emotions of relief and what happens now. I'm not sure. I've got no idea who's going to come in and take the job. But it is right that he's left the club. He's left us in an absolute mess. Everyone's seen yesterday, 5-2 defeat at Arsenal. We were abysmal. There was no fight, no spirit, no passion. And most of all, there was no structure to the team. And that's what's been missing. So we're happy, but we're really intrigued to see what happens next. There's no firm favourite to who's going to get the job. Obviously, there's all names like Dyche and Ancelotti and Thomas Tuchel and you know, David Moyes. All these fun names out there, but there's no one real name dominating at the moment because there doesn't seem like there's one name out there that could come in and take over. So I think it's going to be a very, very interesting next few days and weeks and a very, very busy few days for me as well. So we'll let you know. Come over to Toffee TV. We'll have plenty of coverage and on Ball Street as well. See you later.
So Ped there, he seems quite chipper about it. I mean, he's putting on a brave face.
He's being philosophical, isn't he? They're in absolute dire straits at the moment, and they're horrendous form. Koeman directly responsible for it, in my opinion. He decided to sign those players, signed so many players in similar positions, didn't strengthen really in the one place they had to strengthen, which was up front. You know, Lukaku, Sandro's no as good as he is. There's no replacement for Lukaku, and it was the writings on the wall from the first game. I think Ped in that video is looking at it from the only way you can in this situation. It's about excitement and looking forward, because the season can't get any worse than it has now.
Yeah.
He could look at, they've stolen a march on West Ham by sacking their manager first. There's a couple of managers out there that they might be able to track, Tuchel and
we'll get into the list, which is interesting to say the least. Nicky, obviously we've got you here to talk about West Ham, which we will do, of course. But looking over at Everton, there's been a weird little rivalry between you two over the last few years. And I remember chatting to you in the post-season, and you were looking at Everton, you think, oh wow, they've done the right things here. And I got sucked into this as well. I think my expectations for what Everton could do this year were too high. But our Everton fans, were the media, were we all expecting a bit too much from Everton?
No, do you know what? I don't think so. I think, looking there, it's not good. It's a very bad run of form. But it's one of them. He's brought in a lot of players again, and that always happens to a team. They can have trouble hitting the ground running. They could have trouble settling in. They've signed some good player, Michael Keane. I mean, anyone would have had Michael Keane last year.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But the run of results, he's been, you know, a little bit diabolical for them. As us, to be honest, we're in a similar boat.
Do you think the pressure's weighed a bit too heavy on them?
What, on
with all that optimism?
No, I don't think so.
No,
I don't think so.
I don't think pressure is the right term. I think it's about. I feared for them. I was a little bit worried about. I'm not worried, but you know, I was.
Are you in bits?
I'd seen what happened to Spurs when we'd bought so many players. Liverpool had a similar situation after Suarez spent a lot of money on a lot of players rather than really finding quality replacements. And that summer, when Spurs signed 7 players, it was the best summer I've ever had. I thought we were going to go on and smash the league. You get this false sense of credit because most fans, myself included, see signings as a mark of improvement, but they're not always. And actually, I know it's easy to say in hindsight, but if you look back and think, actually, maybe 2 or 3 excellent signings rather than, God knows how many players they bought, 11 or whatever it was. You know, that would have been the better way to go. But it's so much easier to say in hindsight. I don't think any manager could have done a better job.
They strengthened some key areas.
I think this was always going to happen to them. They destabilised.
And he was just the guy who was in the hot seat at that moment in time.
No, he's responsible because he sanctioned all of it. But I think any manager with that Everton side, given the amount of... It's not that they don't have quality players, they do. Sigurdsson is a good player. Klaassen was good for Ajax last season. Rooney is still Wayne Rooney. Yeah. But the problems were bigger than just having all of these players. And I think any manager would have struggled. That said, Koeman had to go. He probably should have gone before then.
Really? Okay, a few comments?
Let's go straight to the comments. Chris Coleman, Nigel Pearson or Laurent Blanc. 3 random names been thrown at you there.
Three
or Gareth Southgate, but that was followed by a laugh my arse off emoji. So I think he might be taking the piss. We've got Marcel saying, not surprised really. He has been nothing short of a disappointment. Spent over 100 million and didn't improve, although Lukaku was sold. Somebody could have done a better job. Which I don't disagree with. But
I think anyone would have struggled in that situation.
The loss of Lukaku and not being able to get... You can get as many players as you want, but if you haven't got a guy who can put the ball in the back of the net...
You're never going to replace a player like him. Short term. Long term, you may find someone that settles into it. That's how Chelsea sort of come about him. He was one of these teenage wonder kids. They had to sell him. That's how Everton come about him. He was just that raw talent. So, but long term, he's one of the best in the league. Yeah. All round centre forward.
You're losing 20 goals, aren't you?
Yeah, at least.
I'm digging them out for their player recruitment, but I would have no clue about how to replace Lukaku. What could they have done without making a massive gamble on someone who's in their price range but perhaps isn't proven in the Premier League?
I think the one thing you can say is that mix between losing a centre forward like Lukaku who can both be a hold-up man and also go beyond, and swapping that with Rooney's not really going to do that. Klaassen's not really going to do that. Sigurdsson likes to come and get the ball. There's no pace in that team.
Then that's the responsibility of the manager to change the style of play. Yeah, that's what I believe. They're not going to be able to play the way they did when they had Lukaku up top. Lukaku is the ideal one striker, lone man up top. He could do everything. He's got pace. He can head the ball. He misses 20 chances, but he makes himself 21.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. And that's the difference. You're never going to be able. But that's then for the manager to, a bit like West Ham. We haven't got the raw tools to play the way we want to play, and they haven't got the tools anymore to play how they want to play. So
I think they're knackered as well. I honestly think that the squad. You disagree with this?
No, they've played a lot of games.
Yeah,
it's just that they've got pumped in those games, and that's the problem.
The start of the season really didn't help Koeman, did it? Like the fixtures they had were difficult.
They were difficult, and I would understand if they were narrow losses and they were competing, but they were out of those games. So when Spurs played them, when they played Man United, Atalanta, which is the biggest one, to lose 3-0 away against, come on, I mean this isn't a team that would do significantly well in the Premier League. You know what I mean? It was because they were beaten so heavily that there was greater problems there, and I think they've done the right thing by sacking him. Maybe should have done it a little later. I'm just interested to see who's coming next.
Well, that's it. So let's look at the potential replacements for Ronald Koeman. Let us know which one you like the sound of. I'm very intrigued to see which one you want and which one do you actually think you can get, because actually we were going to talk about potential replacements regardless of this happening, because it looked like it was definitely going to happen. And the Mirror had a decent article looking at different options. Just to run through quickly the odds, David Unsworth, who has coached the under-23s and I think the under-21s for Everton, is the favourite at 5-2. David Moyes, second favourite at 4-1. Sam Allardyce, 8-1. Sean Dyche, 10-1. Ancelotti is 8-1. Chris Coleman, 10-1. Eddie Howe, Thomas Tuchel, Duncan Ferguson, 16-1. David Wagner, 18-1. Joe Royal, 20-1.
Wow.
Worth a quid, isn't it?
And Paulo Fonseca 14-1.
I'll be honest, I thought Joe Royle was dead. To be honest.
Do you know what, the way that the bookies have done it recently? I don't know if I'm honest. Let us know if he's alive and well. It'd be good to know. The dream one is what the Mirror were talking about when they spoke about Carlo Ancelotti. But he said that he wants a year out. But do you think that is the dream, isn't it? And you were saying earlier that they've got got an advantage ahead of West Ham in terms of getting one of these potential replacements, and he's the one that everyone would want, right?
I wouldn't. If I was Everton, I'd want Sam Allardyce. You know, if it's purely about being successful, he is your best bet.
Successful. Define successful.
Top 6, top 7 finish from this position would be a massively successful season. Out of all the managers, he gives you the best chance. I'm not saying it's going to be pretty to watch. It ain't. It's going to be horrible.
Have you got the players? I don't think Everton have got the players to allow Allardyce to do what he wants. Well, I mean, you had him at West Ham.
Yeah, I mean, he plays a certain style of football, and Lukaku would have been his pawn.
Yeah,
if he'd have been there. You know what I mean? But.
Porn or porn?
Yeah, I was thinking.
Both. No, I mean,
it depends on his fault.
If I was an Everton fan, I'd be wanting Ancelotti.
Yeah.
Because
you spend enough money on all these players. They've got to get the manager.
They've got some good players in there. They've got a lot of money, and they have got the step now. They've got a new stadium coming. They've got the step now to go on and see where they can go.
Yeah.
It's just been an unfortunate start to the season. I'd get a top manager, at least give the fans something to cheer about it, lift the place up again. They've got the money to do it. They've got the money to give him in January. They've got the money to give him in the summer. Why not?
I think this job. Sorry, Sam. I think this job requires a will to work and turn this situation around. I think it's a huge job. I can't really see. Ancelotti's used to going into clubs with huge amounts of money, huge resources. Players that are motivated, you know, the Bayern Munich players are talking about talked about having to set up separate training sessions because he just wasn't doing enough on the training field,
right.
And then training themselves because they wanted to do more. That doesn't strike me as the kind of manager that's going to fix this problem.
But you can also...
Sam Allardyce is the player. I think
he's the guy. You are his agent. You are getting a cut. You put him for every job.
If his training isn't up to standard, you can also employ people to do that for you. Yeah. It's not.
I guess to do that in Clement. The one from within, David Unsworth. Well, we heard this name last week. And so this is what I really interested to hear what Everton fans think about this one. Let us know in the comments, because when I saw that name, and obviously I'm not an Everton fan, I have no feeling towards David Unsworth whatsoever, I laughed. Because come on, Ronald Koeman, he's done stuff. I know it's gone horribly wrong. At least he's done stuff.
Excuse me.
David Unsworth.
Who's caretaker manager of Preston North End, mate? Like, let's don't underplay the value of that.
You could be sounding like pricks because we don't know.
You cannot spend that amount of money and then say you're not good enough when you've been the player, been the manager that Ronald Koeman's been, and then go, here you go, David. You give it a go. Let me know if I'm wrong.
Name me some top managers that were really, really great at football apart from Guardiola.
Zidane.
Is he top manager? He's struggling.
Top team.
Struggling.
He's at the top team.
Oh my God.
No, just one quick thing. I think they know.
That's a cry for help.
What's that?
David Unsworth. That's a cry for help.
It's looking inward, isn't it?
But yeah, it's looking inwards. It's looking at. They're coming from a position where they just want someone who understands Everton, understands the fans, because there's a massive disconnect between what's going on the pitch and with the manager currently, and he may have something that we don't know about. And then sometimes you do have to go with him. Sometimes it is, and we're all laughing at it.
I am laughing at it.
You do not know anything about his coaching ability, nor do you.
No one's laughing at it. It's just it's the scale of the risk of giving it to David Unsworth.
No, there's no risk there.
I'll tell you what he has got.
Well, there's risk if they go down, but he may be.
He's got a passion for Everton. He played for us for a year. We had him for a year. He was one of my favourite players when he played because he gave 110% every time.
That'll only get you so far, though. Surely.
Not at the moment.
But that might not be your league game. You're just assuming that based on the way he plays.
No, yeah,
he may have much more.
No, I'm sure he has. I'm sure he's a very intelligent man, but he doesn't have the CV to take that job. That is a fact.
They love him.
Are we now looking at say right? Whoever comes in for Everton between now and the end of the season, their priority is simply to avoid relegation, or is it early enough in the season where they can say they can still get that top 6 position?
Who had Guardiola managed before he managed Barcelona?
Barcelona B.
Barca's B team.
Barca B.
Sorry, are you Are you doing this? Are you?
Yeah, I'm just saying.
Pep Guardiola
it's from
with David Unsworth.
You don't know until you know.
But it's from within the club.
I know, mate.
He managed Barcelona B.
You don't know until you know.
Pep Guardiola
You
is
can't.
different.